Towards the end of last year, I decluttered my eyeshadow collection, and not long after I realized that I could probably let go more. And then when I looked at the rest of my collection, it wasn't just eyeshadows that I saw I could let go of. So I thought I could just go through all of the makeup items in my collection and one by one show you guys what I want to keep or not. This isn't going to be insanely brutal because I don't really have an insanely large collection. So it's just going to be things that I do not use and do not see myself using. So the first category is going to be base products. I lumped them all together because this is all that there is. For context, the goal of my collection is just to be practical and minimal to a point. Obviously, I'll still want to explore some things. I'm never going to be the person who wants just one lip product and one eyeshadow. That's not really what I want, but I want to have fun with my collection while also not being overwhelmed and not have a lot of items that are neglected. So that is what this declutter is going to be aimed towards. So the first two items you can see here are both the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. Now, the first one I bought was this one in shade 1, and it is quite dark and orange on me. I am pretty fair. Even if I mixed it with the concealer that was lighter, it just made me look kind of orange. As you can see, that undertone is really wrong. So I bought shade 0 when it came out. I wish it was a little bit lighter and less warm toned, but you can see it's definitely better. So I can make this one work. I cannot make this one work without having to drag it all the way down my neck and still looking orange. I'm just too fair for this, so this is gonna go. So this is the keep side, this is the declutter side. And I'm just gonna say I'm gonna keep what's left. I have one powder, it's the Halo Glow Setting Powder from e.l.f. I really like this. At times I wish it was a little bit less glowy, so I wonder if that means my skin is no longer quite as dry. It's probably a good thing because it was really struggling. But I might be looking for another powder that isn't quite as glowy just to accompany it for my T-zone area, but I mean, I'm fine with having 1 or 2 powders. These two are the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. The same exact one. This is a backup. This one is almost gone. I'm gonna have to take out the stopper really soon and use up what's left, and then I will use this once it's over. I wish that it was a little bit lighter and a little bit more neutral, but I've tried the neutral one. It is super peachy and it's a bit darker. And then the lighter one is really, really pink. So I found this one works the best, and I like the yellowish undertone to kind of correct darkness in certain areas or redness. But I do wish it was a slightly different color, but I really love the formula. It sits on my skin so well. So keeping those two, and this one's almost gone anyway. This is the Juvia's Place, I don't know what kind of concealer. It's a shade 23, whatever this concealer is. I don't know if they have multiple lines or not. I like this. It's definitely not as hydrating as these two, but I still think it's good. I like that this one's quite light and neutral because when I pair it with this, it kind of evens out the coloring. Once I use up these 3 concealers, I might try a new one. Even though I really like this, I would like to find one that is the perfect one for me. So I'm keeping these 5 and decluttering this one. This next category is bronzers and contours. It's not going to be super interesting because I only have 2 products, even though it looks like I have 3. This right here is the Essence Contouring Duo Palette. I took out the light shade, mixed in some of the dark shade, and I made this one right here. It's a lot easier to use than having to navigate this super deep shade and trying to not have it be muddy and having to use this to blend it out. So I made it more foolproof, trying to use this up in my project pan. I'm honestly not sure if I want to keep this once this is done. I might mix some of this with this CoverGirl Clean powder in the shade 150. It is a face powder, but it is a little bit darker than my skin tone, so it's a very subtle bronzer. I kind of like how subtle it is. Honestly, I thought I knew everything that I was going to declutter, but I think I'm going to do something a little surprising. I'm going to declutter this because I don't see myself wanting to keep on refrankening this until it's done. That'll take forever, one, but I know this bottom one, I don't even know if you can see it, is this powder. It's so subtle, but I prefer that. I would happily use up this lighter shade, but I think once I'm done with this Franken, I'll just use this powder, and then I might get the shade that's a little bit darker than this next time. I'm going to keep these two and get rid of this. This next category is going to be pretty boring because I'm not going to declutter any of it. These are my blushes and highlighters. I combine them because some blushes are so shiny that they are kind of a highlighter as well, like this Milani Baked Blush in Rosa Romantica. I really like this Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush in the shade Sweet Pea. This CoverGirl shade in the shade Soft Mink is not alone because I have 4 eyeshadows mixed together for Franken blush. This I just rolled into my project pan, so I'm going to start working on that. This is not considered a number in my blush category. It's just 4 eyeshadows, but hoping to get those eyeshadows out by using it up as a blush. This Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush in the shade Shimmering Rose. I like, but I don't love it as much as everyone else loves it. I think the only way I found I really enjoy it, because if I want kind of just a pale pink blush, I'll probably go for this one. But I like mixing this with the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in Blossom Glow. This is a little bit too intense for me at times, but mixing these together is a really pretty, glowy blush highlighter kind of thing. So I might make a Franken of these together eventually and use it that way, because on their own I don't use these a ton. This sometimes I use in the inner corner or something, but not a ton as just a face highlighter. Now that the face products are gone through, let's go through the eyes, except before I get to eyeshadows, here's all the non-eyeshadow products. I have my one mascara at the moment. It's the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. It's the deep round shade. I do like this, especially for everyday. I don't know if this is something that I want to repurchase. This is my second one, so I like it enough, but I'm starting to miss black in a sense. So I almost want one that's fluffy and then one that's more like a comb to seal it in. So we'll see. I do like this. This next product is my only eyeliner. It is the Essence Stay and Play Gel Eyeliner in the shade Very Berry. And I haven't been wearing a ton of eyeshadow this year, but if I'm wearing something, a lot of times it is this eyeliner instead, because it is a really pretty shimmery plum shade. It complements my eye color really well. And I like that it doesn't smudge or move like eyeshadows can. It is much more reliable. I have 2 brow products here. I'm keeping both just because I'm using both to see which one I'd rather repurchase. I have the e.l.f. Wow Brow in the shade, I think, Natural Brown. And this is the 3rd one that I've used. So I really do like the formula. I love how tiny this brush is. It makes it so easy. It's just the color is a little bit more cool toned than I'd prefer. This tinted brow mascara from NYX in the shade Brunette, however, has the warmth of my hair, and so it kind of brings my eyebrows back to life. My main gripe is just this brush is so much bigger and harder to work with. There is a comparison. For eyebrows, that makes a big difference, just because when you're wanting to be more precise, it's really hard when this part is so wide at the end. I'm still kind of flip-flopping between the two, not sure which one I would repurchase. They're both good in terms of brow mascara. It's just color over application. I'm debating what's more important to me. If you have any recommendations for drugstore priced brow mascaras that have this kind of undertone, which is, I wouldn't say auburn because it's not reddish, but it certainly has some warmth to it. Now, eyeshadow primers. I have 3. This Milani one I have purchased at least once or twice before this, and I used up 1 or 2, I can't remember. I stopped using it though last summer because my eyes had this horrible eczema breakout. I'm not sure what the cause of it was, but I do know that this re-aggravated it at the very least if it wasn't the cause. I don't know if it expired because obviously I used it for years, I had no problem, but I just can't use it anymore because it does not make my skin happy. This NYX Glitter Glue Primer is also going to go because It's a little bit too intense. It makes me nervous. It's also pretty old. I know I don't always go by expiration dates, but it's definitely been well over 6 months, I'll tell you that. It's been at least 2 years. So I don't need this anymore. I don't do really dramatic eyeshadow looks anyway where this would be required. So these can go. The eyeshadow primer I'm keeping, I know it's high-end, it's not like me, but it's the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, but their anti-aging formula. I bought this. Someone mentioned it in the comments, so thank you. This is just the mini size because I didn't want to commit to something that I didn't know if it was actually going to irritate my eyes or not. So far, so good. I've only used it 2 or 3 times, but it has not re-aggravated my eyes in a dramatic way, so that's awesome. I'm glad I got a mini, not only because it's cheaper, but because since I'm not wearing that much eyeshadow, I really don't need a giant one, so this is plenty for me. I am keeping 5 eye products and decluttering 2. Just because eyeshadows are the biggest one, I want to get everything else out of the way first. So lip products is what's left, and these are all my lip products at the moment. I did have another lip liner, but I lost it. Took it to work one day and yeah, it never came back with me, so I'm sure it fell out at one point. I really should just stop trying with lip liners because I lose them like it's my job. So yeah, I would like to have one that's like my perfect your lips but better shade, but I'm afraid that once I find it, I'll lose it anyway and have to constantly repurchase it. So I'm not sure about that, but this lip liner is the LA Girl Perfect Precision one in the shade Sugar and Spice. I am not keeping this, and not because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it, but it's just very orangey neutral, and it is not a good color on me. It just looks so orange on my complexion, and I don't want that in a lip liner. I like the formula, it's just the color isn't the best on me. This ColourPop Ultra Blotted Lip, I probably shouldn't have bought. It is in the shade Still an Icon. I like the color, it's okay. It's a little bit brown on me. It's mostly just the formula, I should have known. It's just a little bit drying on my lips. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. I'm thinking I'm gonna pan this as a liquid blush potentially. I want to keep it, I know that. It's newer and it shears out really well, so I think it would actually be really easy to use as a blush. I kind of sheared it away, but I love the texture. It's very soft and smooth. It's just a little bit drying for my lips, so I don't love it, but I'm gonna keep it. Speaking of things I do love though, the Flower Beauty Plump Lip Gloss Stick in the shade Spicy. I am wearing this today, but I really like this. It is super shiny and glossy without feeling like a lip gloss, which is my gripe with lip glosses. They just feel thicker, even when they're at their thinnest. I just don't love the feeling. This one I do like, and I like the color. It's a really pretty pinky color, so keeping that for sure. Another one that is something that I would consider repurchasing along with the Flower Beauty one, this CoverGirl Clean Fresh Lip Stylo in the shade Sweet Melon. I learned about this through Too Much Tosh, and I'm so glad I did, because as you can see, I have used it quite a bit. And I mean, there's still a decent amount left, but I've used about half of it up, and I haven't project panned it or anything. It's just, I really enjoy it. It's a really similar finish to this. I think I prefer it a little bit more to the Flower Beauty one, and I like that it has that kind of warm peachy pink tone. I would consider buying other colors in this because I really love the formula. These two JCat Beauty Dew Glow Lip Hydrators, one of them is in my project pan. I think that's Melting Your Heart. Nope, not that one. Full Gleam. Full Gleam is the one I'm panning. And they're okay. They're nothing to write home about. They're not that shiny, they're not that hydrating. They just kind of give a little color. It's fine. But I have them in my project pan because they're fine. I can use them up, no problem. I don't hate them or anything. This one's a little lighter than I'd prefer, but it's fine. I might have left it in my car and it got a little weird looking. So I want to pan probably these 3, and then these 2 I don't really have to because I use them so much. I'll use them up, I'm sure, and I would consider repurchasing these. So yeah. Now my lipsticks. I don't wear lipsticks very often. This e.l.f. Seriously Satin Lipstick in the shade Sugar Plum. I used to be obsessed with this color, but in real life I just don't wear dark purple. I just don't. It's just not something I want to worry about every day. Having it smudge or look weird or having to reapply it. I also don't think it's the best color on me. I don't think really dramatic lip colors look the best on me. It's fine, it's fun. I'm glad that I bought a $3 one to experiment and have fun with, but I just don't wear it ever, and I don't ever want to wear it, really. Same with this, and this makes me kind of mad at myself because it's a more recent purchase. I should have known better. Look, I've worn it 2-3 times. I don't know. Not enough. I'll tell you that. Gorgeous lipstick. Gorgeous formula. Look at this. Oh my god. The Milani Sensual lipstick. I don't remember what the heck this line was called, but you'll know it by the look of it. Great lipstick, but dark brown, not for me. And it was just a fantasy self thing. I wanted it, and then I was like, oh, I don't actually feel like using this that often. This is interesting. Same with the I Am Strong lipstick from the Bold Matte collection from Milani. Really good formula, nothing wrong with it, beautiful color. It's a dark maroon kind of red. I just don't wear dramatic colors like this in real life. I bought these, I had this mindset during the pandemic because I don't know, I was just bored in my room, I guess, and so I wanted to experiment, which is fun, but when you get back into the real world, you're like, oh, I don't actually wear this unless if I'm just in my room. I don't feel that confident in these colors. I prefer the easier ones that, you know, if they fade off, it doesn't look weird. These two Flower Beauty lipsticks. This is in Barrymore. This is an Autumn Rose. You can tell Autumn Rose has gotten more use than Barrymore. You can see in the length of them which one I've reached for more. I don't even reach for this a ton, but if I want a matte lipstick, I'd go for that over this. This is just a little bit too bright and berry for me. I wore it once in the past year, and it was for a 1950s themed photo shoot because I needed something bright and I didn't have red, and it worked, but I don't plan on having another 1950s style photo shoot anytime soon, so I don't need that. And if I were to be like, oh no, I wish I had that for one occasion, I could probably borrow lipstick from someone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to keep these special occasion what if kind of things. So these 5 are going and these 6 are staying. We have finally reached the point where we gotta do eyeshadows. We just gotta do it. So these are all the eyeshadows I have currently, including this Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge palette. Obviously, I'm keeping this palette because it is all in one piece. There's a reason I haven't depotted it. It is because it is sentimental. It was a gift, so I don't want to destroy the gift. And it has a lot of unique shades to my collection, so I can have a lot of fun with it. It has some basics like the brown and the black and pale gold. So this is going to be a keep. I just wanted to show you guys. It's here, but I might keep it open off to the side just as a reference to what colors I have in here. But I'm going to be focusing on decluttering what is here, which honestly isn't a ton anymore, which is great because it used to be way too much. But I just don't wear eyeshadows that often, like I mentioned earlier, so I don't need all this and all that. So I'm going to start with the non-single pan kind of things. These 2 liquid eyeshadows are really fun. They're really pretty, but they are just kind of rough on my sensitive eyes. They're more drying, and taking them off, my eyes just don't enjoy the process, and so it makes me avoid them. And they're also over a year old, and for being liquid around my eyes, definitely not the safest thing to keep forever. So I had fun with these, but I don't need them anymore. This is just a regular bone matte shadow from Essence, the shade The One. Use it as a base to blend out looks, to lighten things up, whatever. It's just something that is useful to keep, so keeping that. Since the rest of these are magnetic singles. I'm going to be organizing the ones I keep in this double-sided magnetic palette that I bought off of Etsy. I think it was Another Soul was the name of the person who made them, but very beautiful magnetic palettes. So if you're looking for one, recommend those if you want something that's more unique and pretty. These are the ones I'm getting rid of. I'll put them here. I'll probably also have to put them here, depending on how much space I need, just in case. I also have this little single. I don't know if it'll come into play, but I can also put an eyeshadow there. I think I'm going to start with greens and blues just because they pop out. This navy blue I'm not going to keep. I have a few blues in that palette, and I can mix the black with royal blue in there and get a pretty similar color, and I just don't wear navy blue all that often. Same with this. It's a mixture of blue and green, which I have in those palettes. If I mix those two colors together, it's going to be pretty similar. I don't use these kind of dark shades super duper often anyway, so I don't feel the need to keep them. Speaking of dark shades, this really mustardy green, if I'm going to go for an army green, I'm going to go for this kind of color. It is a much better color on me. I much prefer it, so this one can go. On the green train, we can continue. These two are just a little too gray for my preference, so they can go. This is kind of a pretty palette though. Not for me, because I won't use it, but you know. This is something I like in the spring. I think it's fun, it's pretty, and I'll use it more often than those. Another green that I won't use. I just don't use it. I don't know what to tell you. It's very pretty, but I don't use it. And if I want that kind of undertone, I'm gonna go for the lighter version, which is this goldy green. This beautiful teal I'm gonna keep. It's kind of a brighter peacock version of that dark one. I like that. This mint though, I just don't really know how to use it, so I'm not going to. Speaking of mints, this is a very silvery, muted mint kind of thing. If I want something like this, the silver does a better job. It's more intense, and this, I always am disappointed by it. I wish it looked like how it did in the pan, but it comes off a little bit more goldy in its shift, and it's not what I want. So I'm gonna keep the silver, and I'm also gonna keep this white. It's sheer with sparkles, so it kind of just adds something fun on top of whatever you want, and without adding too much color. I guess staying on the blue train, I want to keep this one. It's more of a periwinkle, but this is so underwhelming and lackluster, and it kind of just does nothing. And I keep thinking it's pretty, and then I put it on my eyes, and I'm disappointed, so I'm done with that. This I never use, and I have blues in that palette, so I don't need a billion blues that I don't wear very often. The only other bluey shades I'm going to keep are, again, more on the periwinkle purple side, because that's what I prefer. I like purples. I think they look really good on my complexion, and they make my eyes pop, so it makes sense to keep them. Same with these more mauve-y kind of purple tones. I like these as well. I think the only one I want to get rid of in that category would be this, because it's not as fun and poppy as this. This one, as you can see, I use quite a bit, so I want to keep that. It is my favorite crease shade because I just can't go wrong with it. I can't mess it up because it's so light. This really deep plummy shade is pretty for a subtle liner that kind of brings out a pop in my eyes, though I will say I don't use it as much now that I have that eyeliner. They're pretty similar, but I don't feel like giving it up. This more aubergine color is a really nice neutral on my complexion. This is an okay shade, but it's the only true neutral I'd say I have here. Maybe slightly cool toned, but I appreciate that neutral subtle color, so I'm gonna keep that as well. I gotta declutter things because I'm running out of space. I can get rid of these because I don't love warm tone gold kind of things, and this one, this color looks better on me. It's more peachy. And I also have a light gold in that Nomad palette, so I don't feel the need for this, and then this can kind of serve the purpose of these. It's a little bit lighter, which I also like. I I think I should just keep one warm brown. I'll keep this because I prefer the formula. This one's a little bit more orangey, and this one, it always looks like it's not going to be that orangey, and then it comes off way more orange than I expect, and that makes me frustrated, so we're going to get rid of that. This makes me look a little sick when I use it, so we don't need that. This is a nice neutral inner corner highlight. I would like to keep that. I'll just put this because it's a basic shade in here. I'm keeping it, so I'll put it on this side, but I gotta make room somehow. This is tricky. They're both warm browns with more of a red undertone. One's more purple though, but look at that. You know what I mean? They are different, I know, but they're also incredibly similar. I think I prefer this because it has more of a purple undertone. It looks less sickly, and it's a little bit better of a tone. So we're gonna say goodbye to this one, which is a little bit more red. This I'm keeping because it's pretty and sparkly. And, oh, yikes. Okay, I don't have room for either of these. I want to keep one peach, and I'm keeping this as well. Well, that isn't the prettiest layout. It does fit in there, and it's fine. We have this one as well. There isn't any more room for the things I'm getting rid of anyways, so I had to make some kind of decision. These are what I'm keeping, these 3 palette areas, and then these 2 singles over here, and then these 2 palettes are everything that I'm getting rid of. Obviously, it wasn't a 50-50 split, but I'd say it was a pretty good cull, considering the size of what I have. I let go of a few more than I actually thought I would. I think this is a much better representation of the colors that I prefer to use. Definitely these mauvey purples are my preference. And then when I like a pop of color, I like it to be this kind of stuff. I wanted to keep a few warm options for neutrals. And this palette has a lot of the fun pops of color that help me get rid of some of these. Having this palette helps justify getting rid of a lot of these, because if I do feel the urge for something more unique, these colors I can mix together in a lot of ways and make a lot of really fun things. So if you include this palette, I am keeping 48 shadows and getting rid of 18. If you exclude the palette, since I wasn't going to declutter it anyway, the things that I actually went through one by one, I'm keeping 33 and getting rid of 18. So pretty good chunk there. Really quick at the end, I just wanted to note there are a few eyeshadow brushes I'm getting rid of. I'm not going to go through them one by one. I'm keeping this set right here. I will say I lost this guy's little sibling. It was a normal angled liner brush. It's fine because I already have one, but I did have a mini version and I don't know where it went, but that's fine. So I guess that's kind of decluttered because I don't know where it is. But I have these brushes. I'm getting rid of these. This big brush is never going to be the choice when I have this big brush. I just prefer the density and the size and shape of this one. So don't need this. This one, I don't use shimmers with this kind of cut crease shimmer brush a ton. But if I ever feel like I really want to do that, I can use the bottom end of this brush, and it has the same kind of curve. So it's able to do that. And this one I'm getting rid of because these two are nearly identical, and I just prefer the density and shape of this one over that. So these 3 I just don't use. Ignore how some of these brushes are dirty. I use them today, but I just need these 5 face brushes and then these eye brushes. I have so much variety between them. Honestly, I could get rid of more, but I just don't know which ones I want to get rid of. So I'm keeping them all because they don't take up that much space anyway. This is everything that I am decluttering from my collection today. This feels a lot better. This stuff was never getting touched or used anyway, so it does not need to be here. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was satisfying in some way. I think it was pretty brutal considering the size of my collection. Obviously some categories weren't that interesting. Blushes, I kept them all, but lipsticks, I split them in half basically. So really just depended on what was in each category, but I feel so much better about getting rid of this stuff because it just adds to the clutter in my life, and I don't need that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!